And it reminded me of a game which I really loved as a warm-up. I used it during the summer. Um, so this summer, I worked with over 200 teachers from different countries on 19 different courses, training courses. I know some people were hoping to come on the course, Sarah Jane. Oh, but I have to tell you, you've got to get permission for next year because our new course, Creativity for Young Learners, was a roaring success.
Oh,
And
sounds great.
we had a mixture of people from Malaysia, and Japan, but mainly from Spain, as
Oh,
it
wow.
happens,
Mhm.
because the government there um, gives some support for training for teachers. And I was delivering this with a woman called Griselda Beacon, who is an Argentinian teacher and lecturer. And we got on fantastically, which was helpful. But she's got a lot of creative arts ideas across the curriculum, and I have all my drama ideas. And we just had a whale of a time for 2 weeks.
Oh, great.
Everybody went away very, very pleased with it and with lots of ideas. So maybe
Wow.
I'll talk about some of those.
Yeah, please. Wish I was
But
there.
one of the games that I played, which I played years ago, and I know I've played it with Jenny Anderson. Because years ago, I'm pushing the table away because I need more space for this. Years ago, I used to run courses in London. Um, Usually about 3 or 4 a year. I used to set them up myself, and I haven't done them for a long time because they were a lot of work to do. It was always an effort to find the venue, to market the event. But it was always great to run it. It was all the rest of it that was hard work. But Jenny came and she liked one of the games. Kirsty's been to
Oh,
those
yeah.
courses.
Oh,
Um,
great.
so that's great too. Of course you have. Um, and I remember Jenny saying, can I video you doing that game? So she did. And I'm pretty sure it was her, but it was called the Waiter Plate game, and it's a warm-up game. So the way it goes is like this. You get everybody into a circle and you explain that you're going to demonstrate how a waiter carries a plate in a busy restaurant without dropping anything off it. And of course, waiters, as you see them walking around the restaurants, they're always very busy, but they very rarely drop out anything at all. And there's a special move that we do in this game, which goes like this. So you hold your hand out like this with its imaginary plate, and then you bring it underneath like this, keeping it flat, and bring it all the way to the top without dropping any
I,
food off it.
I
So
dropped my.
I don't think it's not very easy to do sitting down. So you may need to try it standing up if you've got the space. So you
Okay.
do this. I'm going to try it holding a book and see if I can do it without dropping anything. So you do that, it's gone out of shot, and then it's coming up here and around again. So it's just a really great movement. It's a bit like yoga or something. Yeah, people have
Okay.
got books, so they
Let
could
me
try
try.
just try it out a few times. So you've got
Yeah.
that. I'm going to move the camera so you can see the rest of it. So it goes down underneath like that, around, and away. Dropped the book, dropped the food all over the floor.
Oh, I will.
So when you do this with the students, and it works for any age, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a challenge for 5-year-olds. Okay. The idea is just to get them doing it and doing it as quite, how quickly can you do it? Without, and can you go back round the other way? That's a challenge. So now try going back round the other way. So you're bringing it out
Really dropped it.
and underneath. Okay, this is just the beginning of the game because what you haven't done is try it with your other hand. So can you
Okay.
try it with your other hand now? And see if that's any better or worse than the first one. Yeah. I can see books flying everywhere. Very good. Oh yeah. Okay. Now that's what you've got to do. And you can say to the students, we're now going to do it with 2 plates, all right? Because waiters obviously don't just carry 1 plate around, otherwise they'd be making lots of journeys. So can you do it
Oh,
with 2
she's
plates at
prepared.
the same
She knew.
time
Elizabeth, you knew, right?
without dropping anything off? I'm going to try. I think this would be hopeless
Oh,
with
very
books.
nice. I don't have 2 books here.
Oh
I
my
do.
goodness. No, they're all going flying. All right. Okay. So that's why normally when we do it with students, we don't actually hold anything. All right. We're just going to
Oh.
pretend. So once they've all worked out how to do that and
Good job.
managed to do it, it looks great. And you can say to them, I want you to imagine what's in your dish, in both of your dishes. So what's on your right hand plate and what's on your left hand plate. Okay.
Mm.
And then for the final part of the game, you get them to walk across the circle like a busy restaurant. So they're
Okay.
walking from one side of the circle to the other, doing this, passing by other people, keeping out of their way, and
That's
you can
fun.
imagine what it's like if you've got a dozen or 20 people crossing the circle doing the waiter game.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. Totally, yeah. And then finally, you can go round and ask everybody what's on their plates. And that's usually quite amusing. You know, you get a lot of burgers and chips, but you get some interesting dishes as well. And sometimes people have a mains on one side and a dessert on the other. So, yeah. Have you played that before, anybody?
No, I
Jenny,
don't
it
think I
wasn't you
have.
then.
I've seen you.
Pretty sure it wasn't me, but I
Okay,
don't think it was.
excellent. Well, that's good.
Let
It
me
was
get them.
somebody who asked me, and so I've got the video on YouTube actually, and maybe I'll just find it and give you the link because then it will remind you, and you could show the kids if you wanted
Hi,
to.
David. Hi, David. Hi, everyone.
Right, I'm just going to get this and give you the link. Okay. So
Can you hear me?
yeah, I'm going to show it to you and also send the link in the chat. Here we
Yeah.
go. So the link is coming now. And then I'm going to play it because it's a very short video. Share sound. Da, 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 da. Right, here we go. So this was at anyone who's been to my courses in London might recognize the venue. Right, let's put it from the beginning. This is a quick and easy warm-up. Imagine that you are a waiter juggling plates. Imagine that you are a So that was it. There you go. Very short and sweet, but it will remind you how to make the movements. Totally pointless, but usually quite funny. And it does actually get the whole of your upper body moving a lot. So a really good warm-up. Welcome, Martha, who's connected now. Nice to see you. We can only see the top half of your face at the moment, by the way.
Thank you. I don't know why.
Oh, right, that's it. We can see you now. Brilliant.
David, can you please show again those books you were showing? I was just
I
connecting.
will actually, yes, because I was doing this with books and I was using one of the books that I want to
Oh.
share with you today.
Ah.
So,
Okay.
as you know, as you can see behind me, I've got an extensive collection of drama books, and this
Of
one
course.
is by Alison Goldie. It's called the Improv Book, and improvisation for theatre, comedy, education, and life. If anybody feels like Googling it, because I know Josie or somebody usually does that, and then put
Yeah.
the link
Okay.
to it in the chat, that would be
Okay.
quite handy.
Alison.
Alison Goldie, as in
Okay.
Goldilocks, but with an IE at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
All
I'll
right.
try and do it now.
It's published by Oberon Books, and I've had it for ages. So it was published, let's see, in
Yeah, got it.
2015. There we go. And there was a couple of games in there. To be honest, one that I've never tried, but I would like to try. And I thought it would work well online. So I'm going to
I've
find
got
that
it.
one. Okay,
Thank
I'll put it in the thing now.
in the chat.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good, good,
Oh,
good,
why
good.
didn't you do it? Okay, right.
Right. Have you done it?
Yep.
Excellent. Right. So, actually, I'm going to share my screen with you. That's the easiest way. So I have copied part of the book and it's here. So this is about reactions. So this is about acting. And as she writes here, acting is reacting. That's an old saying about what acting actually is. So it's about reacting to things around you or to people around you. And this first exercise is called Open the Door. And the idea is that you should imagine that there's a door in front of you. It's a big, heavy wooden door with a brass door knob. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open the door. And when you do, I want you to see in front of you whatever the first thing is that comes into your mind. Don't plan what this will be before opening the door. I'll let you look at this for a moment, and I'd like you to react naturally to whatever it is, just standing there, looking at it. Then I'll ask you to close the door, okay? So we're going to try this. Why not? So I want you to imagine that you have a door in front of you. I'm not going to do it because I want to watch you. And it's got a big brass doorknob. You're going to open it. And the idea is not to sort of like over the top react. Oh my God. It's more about natural reactions, the kind of Stanislavskian reaction to your imagination. All right. So are you ready? Can you grasp the doorknob and decide which way you're opening the door? Yeah, standing up is a good idea if you want to do that. And then open the door and just see what's in there. And maybe we can tell from your reactions what you're seeing. Don't decide beforehand. There's something really nice, something really shocking. Oh my goodness, something really big and something you've always wanted, and then close the door. All right. So that's the exercise, but the idea is to do it a couple of times. So let's imagine now that you have found a different door to open, and it's got a different color to it, but it's a door that you've never seen before. And once again, you're going to open the door and there will be something different in this room. Are you ready? And grasp the doorknob and open the door and see what's inside. Oh, lots of naturalistic responding going on. And close the door. Excellent. Right. Well, that is the activity. It's an acting exercise. And the idea is not to leave them reacting for too long, just in case it's something disturbing. They might see a really horrible monster or somebody with a gun or something. So why not put into the chat window what it was, one of the things that you saw when you opened the door. What was it? Let's find out in the chat. And Martha, I don't think, oh, we did hear you talking, Jenny said. I was so busy that I didn't check to see if I could hear you, but Jenny said that we did. A beautiful beach. My mum. Second door was dog poo. A fairy godmother dressed in a violet tulle skirt. I like the detail of that. A puppy. A dark room with a clock. First of all, a very old and lovely friend. And then a small mouse singing a love song to me. Wow. That's great. So does anybody do any exercises like this? First time it was a theatre stage where actors were rehearsing. Wow. I'm really surprised at how different everybody's rooms were. Anybody do any acting exercises like this ever?
Never done this one before, no.
Yeah. Kirsty?
Yeah, with lycée students working on a play, we'll do sort of a little bit higher level where you're looking for them to really tap into emotions and express themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, like using Stanislavski techniques, but then usually you're looking for it to make it a little bit more heightened for the performance.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it depends on what we're doing, but certainly in the rehearsal process, yes. But we don't do actual drama classes with them. They audition to rehearse an actual play at lycée level. It's not part of the program, so it's an optional subject.
What strikes me from what you've said then is that you could adapt this exercise for different acting styles. So you could open a door as though you were in a melodrama. You could open a door as though you were in love. You would open a door to maybe see an object that meant a lot to you. So you could add in various descriptors to change the exercise. And another thing that occurred to me is that you could have different levels of reaction. So starting with naturalistic, which could be a 1, and then you could say, now you're building up to a 3. How will you respond now? Now you're building up to a 5. How is your body being brought into your response? And now you're coming back to a 2. So that would be a really good way of adapting the exercise to show how we can go from naturalistic to broad physical reactions and melodramatic or clown and so on. Yeah.
That's a really good idea, because sometimes I find with students, teenagers, sometimes they don't understand what it means to be bigger on stage. They'll come on and they'll want to be sort of doing things. They're used to watching a lot of film and series where it's very naturalistic. So to say to them, be bigger, they don't actually know what, if you can say to them, go up from a level 1 to a level 5, make it bigger, make it more dramatic, and then be able to pull back as well. To have the skill to try a range is great. Yeah.
And also, I mean, I've done versions of that exercise where you're walking around the room or crossing a room and showing different emotions, and then having that scale of 1 to 10 and bringing it up and down can be quite good, so that you bring that into movement as well. And then the other thing I've done that links to that is levels of tension, which I've got a whole page about on my website, where you start off with completely relaxed, and you end up basically somebody is about a bear. There's a big grizzly bear in the room, and you just have to, you either run or you're petrified. You can't move. And there's lots of different levels in between. I'll just share that with you, show you on the website, so that you can see how that works. Because I can't remember all the different levels on the top of my head. Let's have a look. Right. So if I look up, by the way, I've redone my website with this new color scheme.
Mm.
And I've got a nice little search box that drops down like this, where you can type in anything. Oh, you have to try and spell it right. Tense, try again. It doesn't cope with spelling mistakes. So 7 levels of tension. There we go. And this came from Jacques Lecoq, allegedly, who was a physical theatre and clowning teacher. And other people who have used them are John Wright and Simon McBurney and several others. So this is, there's various ways of describing them, but number 1 is completely exhausted. That's it. So like completely like laid out on the floor, just not needing to move like a jellyfish. Number 2 is you're laid back like a Californian. Yeah, life's easy, you know. Just hop down the street and get a wheatgrass smoothie. And then neutral is no story. Oh, right. I'm just looking around. Not much going on. Can you see me, by the way? I'm not sure if you can see me. Yeah.
Yes.
And then alert, as I put here, is Mr. Bean. It's like, oh, what's that? Oh, interesting. Oh, what's that up there? Curious. And then it moves to suspense. Oh my God, John Cleese. Basil, what have you been doing? I hope you got the reference there. And then passionate opera. And finally, tragic. My God, there is a bear in the room. Okay, so that's my demonstration of my acting prowess. But there's a whole description of these on the webpage, which I will copy and paste in the chat. There's also a really nice video that a secondary school teacher made using these levels of tension.
Seen that. Yes,
with young people. And I was very pleased to see that in the background.
Okay, it's Friday morning. I'm here with my Year 10 class.
So there you go. You got the idea of it. I won't show it to you now, but I'll give you the
I think you've seen
the
it.
link. And did you see that? Yes, stop share. That's
I
it.
think I did, but it's a long time ago.
So here is the link to the web page. Yeah, I was going to say in the back of that video, it's got my flip chart picture that I did at one of my courses. So I was very proud moment for me that he used that. Okay, so this is how I run these sessions normally. I kind of go down various alleyways that crop up while we're doing different things. There is another game though from Alison Goldie, and I'm going to describe it to you and then we're going to play it. In fact, why don't I once more share the screen? Yes, to show you, because some people like to read a description. So this game is called Up, Down, Left, Right, okay? And it goes like this. Players face the teacher who explains that they are to imagine 4 phenomena around them. Above them are UFOs in the sky. At their feet is a swarm of rats.
Ew.
To their right is a baby deer. And to their left is a sweet trolley, you know, one of those little push around things with lots of desserts on it or cakes. All right. And then the teacher calls up. Everyone looks up as though seeing the UFOs. Down, they react to the right, sorry, to the rats. Right,
There you
they react to the deer, and left, they react to the sweets. Okay. So again, I thought this is definitely one that we can play online. And I'm going to remind you that looking up, you've got UFOs. Looking down, it's a swarm of rats around your feet. To your right is a baby deer. And to your left is a sweet trolley with your most favorite things to eat. All right. And again, what the idea originally with this game is that you react in a fairly naturalistic way. Although, of course, if you see a UFO or rats running around your feet, it won't be level 1 of tension. It will probably be 5, 6, or 7 level of tension, depending on how you want to play it. So the idea is that's it. So I'm just going to call these things out and we're going to play it. Are you ready? After 3, 1, 2, 3, up. That's the UFOs. Down. That's the rats. Right. That's the baby deer. And left. That's the sweet trolley with the delicious desserts on it. Down. It's the rats. Up. It's the UFOs. Left. It's the sweet trolley. Down. It's the rats. Right. It's the baby deer. And up. It's the UFO. Down. Right. Left. Down. Up. Down. Left. Stop. Okay, you get the idea.
Okay.
It was fun watching you, and I guess kids would probably. I like the images because they're not very neutral, are they? You know, a UFO. I can see Sarah Jane's got staff in the room with her. They're probably wondering what she's doing. Okay, great. So
He's very used to my craziness.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He's a good office mate.
She's just got rats running around her feet again, and a UFO flying above her. Every situation normal.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you like that game? Give us a thumbs up. Can you use it?
Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
People can definitely
I think
use
so.
it. I do recommend this book, Alison Goldie. It's got loads and loads of games in it. It's got some nice illustrations, but it goes into detail with improv or improv, as some people like to call it. It gives you lots of tips about doing improvisation, and interspersed in the book there are lots and lots of games all the way through. So some of them you will know, some of them you probably won't. There's lots about status and so on. So there we go, improv, right? Okay, so any questions, thoughts, or comments about that last game? Any thoughts about how you could use that?
Well, I'm doing Hamlet. So, and the kids are very, very shy. I've only got 10 of them. So it's not actually, it's not going to be a performance or anything like that. Just so I think I can use that, and I might use some images from the play, like the ghost, or Claudius on your right, at the bottom, whatever. I have to think about it, but something like that.
Yeah.
At dead body down.
Could be Ophelia drowning in the lake.
Yeah, or Polonius's body. Oh dear, I killed him. Sort of thing.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So that's true. When you think about a play or a story, there could be lots of images that you could use in that way.
Yeah.
How did you find it when you had to change your reaction very quickly? any comments on that? I'm just interested.
I think I think there's a temptation to kind of go into a quite melodramatic or over the top reaction to these, because like you say, they're not very neutral images.
Yeah.
So to sort of think about it, as you said, it was used by Lee Strasberg, or if you're looking for very naturalistic, you have to take a moment to kind of reflect on what you're seeing, and it's a different entry level. But I think it would make a really good warm-up game for any age group. You know, kids could relate to it at any point, just getting them to be alert and to react to things, and icebreaker really type of a game.
Excellent. Okay, good.
I think just one more thing. I think actually if you use it as a warm-up, I was just thinking it probably doesn't matter what you do, what kind of images you use. Those images are fine because they all know what UFOs are. And at this point in time, for me anyway, they don't know the play yet. So it's probably not a good idea to use images from the play. I think anything works if you just want them to do a reaction and do different reactions, like 4 different reactions, as you said. It's doesn't matter what you're doing, what kind of images you're using, I think.
One thing that, while you were talking, occurred to me is that with younger kids, you could use it as an introduction to a story. If you were telling a story, so if you chose some objects from the story, you know, up above you, there's, I don't know, let's see. Up above you, there's some rustling trees. To your right, there's a fierce wolf. To your left, there's a woodcutter. And at your feet is a basket of delicious fruit, you know, and that would be Red Riding Hood. So, you know, taking images from a story could be quite good even before they know what the story is. So, for example, if you did, without naming them, if you said a ghost, you're a dead body of a relative, you know, so if you name things and describe them rather than linking them to the play, and then afterwards you could say all these objects are in our story, you know.
Yes.
Could be quite a good way of getting curiosity.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. So I went to Edinburgh Fringe. This is me improvising now, but I went to see lots and lots of different plays. And this one I found really interesting because in a way it used drama strategies as part of the performance. So I thought I would introduce it to you and explain why I think that. So this is written by Duncan Macmillan with Johnny Donahoe, published by Oberon Modern Plays. That's the same as the other book, actually, Oberon Books. And it's quite a thin, short play. It's an hour-long play. And the idea is that a young boy is called home from school by his father because his mother has gone to hospital. And at that age, he can't really understand that she's suffering from depression. But he does know that she's sad. And what he decides to do is to start writing down a list of every brilliant thing that he can think of to give to her. So, for example, he's got number 1, ice cream. Number 2, water fights. Number 3, staying up past your bedtime and being allowed to watch TV. Number 4, the colour yellow. Number 5, things with stripes. Number 6, roller coasters. And number 7, people falling over. And, so I'll explain how it works in. So when you go into the auditorium, and by the way, this play has been performed right across the world in different translations and in different countries. There's just one performer, the storyteller, and he has a number of pieces of paper in his hand, and he gives them out to different people in the audience as they sit down. And so when he calls out a number, somebody from the audience has to read out that number. So he calls out number 1, someone says ice cream. Number 6, the color yellow. And so he's got kind of different people in different parts of the auditorium calling things out. But then,
sorry, how do they have do they all have a copy of the script?
No. So all they've got.
Oh, they choose what they want.
No, they've got a piece of paper which says number 3, people falling over.
So they're planting pieces of paper beforehand. Okay.
Yeah. And so they are just ready. They know that when he calls out that number, they've got to read out what's on there. But the other bigger thing that makes it very similar to a drama strategy that most of you will know is that he uses people in the audience as characters, and they get up and act in the play. And at this point, I thought this is just like storytelling Whoosh. So if you know that game, that's where. Hands up if you haven't heard of storytelling Whoosh. All right, good. So just as a reminder, it's where the teacher tells a story, and as she tells the story and names different objects and characters, people around the circle stand up and step in and become that character for a short amount of time. But in this one, for example, he's talking about his reaction to his mother going to hospital, and he thinks that she might be ill. And he said, up until that day, my only experience of death was that of my dog, Sherlock Bones. Sherlock Bones was older than me, and he was a central part of my existence. He was really sick, and so the vet came round to put him down. And then the narrator points to someone and says, would you mind? I'm going to get you to be the vet. It's just that you have a very kind of veterinary quality. And so somebody stands up, and then the narrator borrows a coat from somebody else, and he says, can you pretend, I'm going to pretend that this is my dog. And he's holding this coat, and he goes up to the vet and he says, okay, so you're the vet and I'm a 7-year-old boy, and this is Sherlock Bones. I know you because you're one of the parents from school, and you say something reassuring like, you're doing the kind thing. It's not a moment too soon. And then the person from the audience repeats, you're doing the kind thing, or they might change the words a little bit. And then so I really like the fact that he got people up from the audience at different points. At one point, he had an ex-girlfriend. Another point, he had a lecturer from university from when he grew up. And don't know, has anybody else ever seen that technique being used in a performance? Or have you ever used it in a performance?
Sounds very Augusto Ball, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. What really worked with this one was that it was performed in the round. So the narrator was in the middle, and he could easily turn to people all around him, and the house lights remained on throughout. So if you're working with adults, I'd really recommend this play.
Okay.
It's really quite moving as you hear all the things.
That's what I was just gonna. Sorry, David. That's what I was just gonna say. The tutor that I work with on Thursdays asked me to look out different plays, so I've looked at a few, but that one I have that as well. But I wasn't sure whether it was good for a senior age group from 12 upwards because of the themes in it. I hadn't picked that one as a possibility because I wasn't sure of the,
How old are your oldest students?
They are 18.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
12 up to 18.
Yeah. So I think the older students would really get all the references, and the younger students might not immediately get everything in the same way.
Yeah.
But I think that there's probably a couple. I don't think there's anything really difficult in there, but you could easily adapt, just a little bit in places. And
Yeah.
I know that when it's been performed in different countries, it's always been adapted a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll
And
definitely take
what
it
would be
to
really
the.
nice is you could introduce the storytelling whoosh to
Uh-huh.
students
Yeah.
during rehearsal. And that could be a really, brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my trip to Edinburgh. I saw 25 plays in 4.5 days and enjoyed
Oh,
myself immensely,
Yeah.
ranging from clown shows to all sorts of very extraordinary things. There was a
I bet.
really good production of Theseus and the Minotaur,
Oh,
actually,
right.
with live music and storytelling. So really well worth a visit if you've never been and you get the opportunity.
Such a
Or if
shame
you've
because
got,
I was in Edinburgh and I was going to meet Jenny.
oh yeah,
It
ah,
didn't happen. So we should
right,
have made a date somehow.
yeah. Well, next
Never.
time do. And if you
Yeah.
want some recommendations on plays or companies, um, by the way, Jenny, if you are interested in doing this play, I know
Yeah.
that when you buy it on Amazon or somewhere, it costs about 15 quid. But
Mhm.
if you approach the theatre company directly, they sell it for £5, including.
Okay,
Wow.
that's fine. Okay, yeah, like I say, I'll discuss it with the tutor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah.
You can probably get it in the library as well, because I think it's been used quite a bit.
I'm
Hello,
also
Kirsty.
interested to buy some
Oh,
books,
hang on.
David.
Sorry, Martha, what was that?
I'm also interested to buy some books. Like today, I had my class. Remember, I told you I'm helping out teaching students at the university here in Namibia, but just as a part-time. Like today and yesterday, we were discussing about dialogue. So, but then first of all, like the first game you gave us as an example, for me, I had them to, I assured them that they are safe. Then I asked everyone to close his or her eyes. Then they were imagining a situation that they can reflect back after they opened their eyes. So, and it was very lovely because they came out like they were thinking of all the things that were bothering them or that they were supposed or they needed to express their feelings to share with us. So that's the same game that I have played with them when you just gave us that game of opening and closing the door. So
Yeah.
I see it to be more or less the same, the one I did today.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. But they had their
Yeah,
eyes closed. And
yes,
did you ask them to imagine that they were in a particular place or?
yes. Any situation or being in a particular place, what are they doing? So
Hmm.
then after that, they have to talk about it and how they felt being at that place.
That's probably a really good acting exercise as well, isn't it? Because you've got the element of recall, um, which you need to do with Stanislavskian acting, is like recalling things from your life. And I think
Yeah,
being
just to
able
add,
to talk about things
yes,
like that in rehearsal or
yes,
drama is really
yeah,
helpful.
yeah.
Excellent.
And also it's a good meditation for them because David, sometimes the students they come from other classes that they are so exhausted and many other things. So it's kind of like meditating them and cooling them off before we start with the lesson.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's really nice. Yeah. Um, so that's with adults, is it, or is it with teenagers?
Yes.
Teenagers, okay. Um,
Yeah.
so it reminds me, I've seen a similar thing for those of you who are working with young kids who couldn't do that, but just a very simple thing of kids were sitting in the hall and they were asked to imagine that they're going on a magic carpet ride and,
Okay.
traveling, what they might see, maybe they land somewhere, they meet somebody, etc., etc. So that kind of visualization, as it's called in drama, can be really helpful. Um, and a lot of kids need opportunities to use their imagination in drama, I think. And I've been told by some teachers that nowadays some students don't seem to have much imagination. I don't know whether that's true.
Mm.
Svetlana is nodding her head wisely. Do you think that's true with your students, Svetlana?
Oh,
Or
not
some
with
of
all
them?
of them, of course, but some of them, yes, lack imagination completely, I think. And it's because of our system of education in our school, which is terrible, terrible. They just need to get ready for the exams, and they're so exhausted really learning stuff instead of just working out their own answers, their own approaches. They have to just drill something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Similar.
that probably rings a bell with most people here in one way or another, in that they're working in institutions as a bit of a square peg in a round hole, or maybe a round peg in a square hole, to give it its due metaphorical qualities. Okay, so any final sort of questions about what we've done today or thoughts about it? Yes, hello, Jane. You were waving at me, but you're muted.
Yeah, I
Hi.
was, and my hand is up. Okay. Hi, David. Yeah, I came late, and so I didn't get to play the game, but I was very interested in what you were saying about the Edinburgh Festival. And I was particularly interested in when you're talking about, kind of audience involvement or participation. Are you finding a general tendency, possibly globally, but certainly for you in your experience in the UK, towards in theatre productions, there being more kind of buy-in, or that the actors are breaking the fourth wall and actually engaging directly with the audience and requiring response? Are you finding that as a tendency at the moment?
Well, first of all, I tend to seek out productions that are unusual, but I have been to 3 shows in the last month and a half where the audience played a really important part in the production. So I think it is a bit of a trend. In one of the shows, everybody in the audience was handed a copy of the script. And again, it was a one-man storytelling comedy show. I'm trying to remember the name of the performer. It will come. Daniel Kitson, that's his name.
Okay.
He's one of my heroes, actually. And you'll find hardly any videos of his work because he always likes to perform live and he doesn't like being filmed. And that makes him quite special, I think. But what he did was he said, his premise was, I hate audience participation. And so I've written a play about it, and every member of the audience will get a script.
That's funny.
When you sit down, you first of all sit down, then he comes round and he hands out scripts to every member of the audience. There were about 250 of us.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody has different lines underlined in their script. I'm trying to think if I've got it here. Maybe I have. Yes, I have. There's the script. I happened to go to the final performance, so he was giving the scripts away at the end. But this one was, let me find a good example. All right, so he says something. I'm going to miss out the swear words. He says it's a collective endeavor, a cooperative undertaking where success rests equally on every single person here. And then somebody, number 129, says, even me? And he says, yeah, absolutely, mate, everyone. And then number 129 has another line, and he says, but I've only got 2 lines. Doesn't matter, he says to him. So it's quite funny. I hope you got that.
That's great.
Somebody else says, oh yeah, number 130 says, it's one more than me. And Daniel says, there you go. Number 131 says, I've got 4 words. And Daniel says, and every word matters. So you get the idea. But it was so it was a play on the whole concept of participation.
Yeah.
And it was very funny. So how about you, Jane? Have you seen participation?
Yeah, actually, I'm in South Africa, so we've just had the Hilton Festival, and I saw a brilliant one called Monica, It's Me, which was a one-man show. And she started off, actually had a silent character, an offstage character in it, who was an old lady who was dying. And she was playing the caregiver. And she started off auctioning the old lady's belongings, and she was getting bids from audience members for this, and she was kind of selling them to us. And I found, that's why I was asking you, because I found that the audience was very kind of gracefully participating. It wasn't, it wasn't a strain. We were actually delighted to participate. And at one stage, I mean, I knew her, but I mean, she got some Christmas lights that she wanted to string up. So she says, "Here, hold this," and I have to get up and, interact with her, this sort of thing. But she did it in such a kind of offhand way that, I must say, people were generally tricked into cooperating with her.
Yeah.
I thought it was lovely. Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering whether it could be a kind of bounce back reaction to isolation during COVID.
I thought the same thing.
People are coming out into theatres now, and they're not wanting to just see a play, but to actually be given the chance to participate and interact with the performers and other members of the audience. Could be something that's quite attractive.
Yeah, and I think that people have been, since COVID, very much more isolated generally, and are looking for connection. I think you're onto something there.
By the way, Jane, was that play in the round?
Actually, no, it wasn't. It was in in quite a small theatre with a raked audience.
Because I think generally you would find this quite hard to do if you have a traditional end-on performance in a big theatre.
Oh, definitely.
Because people aren't as close to the action as they would be if it's in the round. So if you were going to try this, and I encourage you to, then it would be really good to do that. Right, I've been waffling on for ages, it seems to me. And I just wondered if anybody has anything that they would like either to talk about today, but there's no time, or to give us some topics for next time. Any thoughts of things that you're working on or would like to discuss, or do you like the kind of randomness? Yes, Jenny.
Well, I was just going to say something that I'm about to start with the Kabuki people, and also hopefully Bordersea Theatre as well, which is it's a worldwide project called Wonderfuls. I don't know whether any of you have heard of it.
No.
And it's positive stories for negative times. And they give you can apply to take part in this project, which you get a year to complete. And they offer these scripts for free to organizations. So I thought it might be something that anyone in the world can take part, basically. So I'll put the link in the chat. Yeah, it's Wonderfuls. Yeah.
Wonderfuls.
That sounds really interesting. Are you looking it up, Josie?
So FILLS. Wonderfuls.
FOOLS, I think.
Oh, FOO.
It must be, mustn't it? I think Jenny's looking it up as well.
Yeah, that's the link to sign up to Positive Stories and their website. But yeah, they have a selection of plays that you can choose from and apply to. So yeah, I thought it might.
So this
some of you might
for,
be interested.
It's for young people, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Well worth a look. I'm going to have a look at that afterwards. Any other things that anybody wants to mention for next time? Sophia, you're a newbie. Tell us what you're doing at the moment in your teaching and what you're working on.
So I'm not teaching right now. I'm just being an au pair here. I'm going to finish my au pair experience the next month, and I'm going to come back to Europe in November. But I used to teach at college in Spain. I had a subject that it was about to teach acting to young people in risk of social exclusion. And then I started teaching acting through Zoom, online acting. So this is how I discovered you, David, because I was looking for information, and then I was like,
excellent.
oh, this guy knows.
Good, good.
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, now I'm going to come back to Europe, and I would love to find a job as a drama teacher. I really miss it, and I really love this this class that you gave to us, because it was my way to come back to acting and to teaching, and I'm feeling on fire right now.
Oh, good.
Great.
That's great to hear. Fantastic. Okay, so oh yeah, I know what I was thinking of. Kirsty, I can't remember who said this. Maybe Kirsty, maybe Josie, maybe neither of those. But you were talking about getting kids to be more expressive. Who was that? Somebody was saying.
Actually, a long time ago.
Talking about being bigger on stage. I talked about
Kirsty,
that.
I think you were talking about that. And
Yeah.
I was thinking that the Laban stuff could be really useful for that.
Yeah.
And perhaps in the next meeting, part of it could be me giving a refresher on how you can use Laban to encourage kids to be more expressive with their bodies when they are speaking text.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'll do. That's what I'll focus on next time in response to that issue coming up, because I think it is a very common one.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yes.
Brilliant. Right. We are 1500 hours. It is in the UK, and some of you can go off and have breakfast, coffee, or go to bed, depending on where you are.